Hi, my name is Miss Rosha, and today I will be providing you with an analysis of the poem Men written by Maya Angelou. First off, I will be providing you with a little background information regarding Maya Angelou's life. In 1928, Maya Angelou was born in St. Louis, Missouri, to Bailey Johnson and Vivian Baxter Johnson. At the young age of 8, Maya Angelou suffered a traumatic experience as she was raped by her mother's boyfriend, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman was eventually found beaten to death, apparently at the hand of Maya Angelou's uncles. Overwhelmed with guilt that her words had caused Mr. Freeman's death, Maya refrained from talking for a period of 5 years. During the 1950s and 1960s, Maya Angelou affiliated with both Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and corresponded well with them and their ideas. Now let's start analyzing the poem Men. When I was young, I used to watch behind the curtains as men walked up and down the street. Wino men, old men, young men, sharp as mustard. See them, men are always going somewhere. They knew I was there, 15 years old and starving for them. Under my window, they would pauses, their shoulders high like the breasts of a young girl, jacket tails slapping over their behinds, men. In the beginning of the poem, in the first stanza, Maya Angelou regards the notion of innocence. She hides behind the curtains from men, but she looks up to them in admiration. This first stanza also represents some female subjugation taking place, as she states, "See them, men are always going somewhere," meaning men had the right to go places where she is behind the curtains in the household setting where females are supposed to be according to stereotypical roles. One day they hold you in the palms of their hands, gentle, as if you were the last raw egg in the world. Then they tighten up, just a little. The first squeeze is nice, a quick hug, soft into your defenselessness. A little more, the hurt begins. Wrench out a smile that slides around the fear. When the air disappears, your mind pops, exploding fiercely, briefly, like the head of a kitchen match, shattered. It is your juice that runs down their legs, staining their shoes. When the earth rights itself again, and taste tries to return to the tongue, your body has slammed shut, forever. No keys exist. During the second stanza, the author utilizes the egg as a metaphor of a female. An egg is a fragile object similar to the stereotypical characteristic of a woman. Thus, in both the first and second stanza, the author stereotypes both sexualities. Through a psychological perspective, the poem is depicting Maya's traumatic experience with molestation and her feelings in regards to it. She discusses the notion of being attracted to men and compelled to them in the first stanza, but then the mood shifts and intensifies as the sentences become more concise in the second stanza. She begins talking about pain as she states, "The hurt begins," and concludes the stanza as, "Your body has slammed shut, forever, no keys exist," signifying that she will not let anybody in specifically the gender men, due to her loss of trust with them. As a result, this poem could be a potential narrative of her own personal trauma. Then the window draws full upon your mind. There, just beyond the sway of curtains, men walk, knowing something, going someplace. But this time, I will simply stand and watch. Maybe. In the first stanza, Angelou goes back to the initial mention of the curtains as a symbol of innocence and restriction, indicating she is better to be left behind in a household setting and restricted from men, where she can remain as an observer in order to avoid being harmed.
Her desire to refrain from the temptations of men was indicated when she stated, "But this time I will simply stand and watch." In contrast, the final one-word line of this stanza was maybe. This statement suggests that she might again be tempted out of her confined life. Again, from a psychological perspective, this last line of being tempted again relates to Maya Angelou's many marriages, as she attempted 3 times in life to be successful in love, but ultimately failed. Well, that's it. Thank you for listening to my analysis of Men by Maya Angelou.